Welcome back to another deep dive. So today we're getting into a part of men's health that, well, honestly, a lot of guys don't really think about until something goes wrong. Or maybe it's just seen as, a private thing, not really connected to overall health. But what if a really simple, totally natural act could actually have some pretty big implications for your prostate health as you age?
Yeah, it sounds maybe a bit surprising, right? Almost too simple.
Exactly. Too simple to really work. But when we dug into the research for this deep dive, the findings were, well, they were quite compelling.
They really are. What the sources are showing us is this fascinating insight that regular self-stimulation, something usually just kept private, actually seems to be a pretty significant and obviously accessible way to boost prostate function.
Boost it how?
Well, by improving blood flow, that critical circulation down there in the pelvic region, and also by actively helping to reduce inflammation. And look, this isn't about being sensational. It's really about uncovering a practical, scientifically backed truth that honestly just hasn't been talked about much in the wider conversation about men's health, especially as guys get older. The evidence really points to real tangible benefits for this, vital gland.
Okay, so let's really unpack that then. Our mission today is to kind of cut through maybe some assumptions people have and really dive into what the research, some of it going back decades actually, has been showing.
Right.
We're not just throwing out generic health tips here. This deep dive is really meant to give you a clear but thorough understanding. And honestly, it might just change how you think about aging and, taking care of your prostate proactively.
Yeah, and I think that's where it gets really relevant for you, the listener. Because for so many men, the prostate only really pops onto the radar when there's discomfort or things aren't working quite right.
Annoying symptoms.
Exactly. But what we're exploring today is more about prevention and empowerment, understanding how you can support this really crucial organ using natural, easy methods before things start to escalate. It's about building that long-term health and resilience.
Making sure things keep working well as you get older.
Yeah.
Without those common prostate hassles.
Precisely. Avoiding the pitfalls if you can.
Okay, so let's start with the basics, maybe the stuff we tend to skip over. The prostate itself. When we talk men's health, it's often heart, brain, maybe muscles and joints.
Sure, the big players.
Yeah, but tucked away there is the prostate. It's small, right? Like a walnut.
About that size, yes.
But despite being small, it plays this huge role, not just in reproduction, but also in urinary health, this overall feeling of vitality for men. It's kind of an unsung hero doing its job quietly.
Until it isn't quiet anymore.
Exactly. Until some little issue pops up and suddenly it's all you can focus on because it's uncomfortable.
And that quiet, steady work is why it gets overlooked so easily. But as men age, especially heading into middle age and beyond, the prostate goes through some pretty significant changes, physiologically speaking.
Like what kind of changes?
Well, this natural aging process often brings up common issues. We see a lot of inflammation, which doctors call prostatitis. That can mean discomfort, pain, maybe trouble urinating.
Right.
Then you've got hormonal shifts happening, subtle ones, but they can affect the prostate tissue, cause imbalances. And then there's the big one, BPH, benign prostatic hyperplasia.
That's the enlargement, right? Not cancer, but still causes problems.
Exactly. Not cancerous, but it often leads to that annoying, frequent need to go, especially at night, waking you up, or feeling like you can't quite empty your bladder, just generally obstructive symptoms.
Yeah. That sounds like it would really impact your quality of life.
Oh, dramatically. Even if they're not life-threatening conditions, they can seriously mess with sleep, social life, just general comfort day to day.
Okay, so that really drives home why being proactive about prostate health is so important, especially as you get older. Waiting until things get bad seems like a bad strategy.
It can be a much tougher road, yeah. That's why we're always looking for these natural, accessible ways to support this vital organ, trying to kind of strengthen it against those common aging issues.
And it's not necessarily about finding some complex medical fix, right? It's more about finding something straightforward that fits into just overall wellness.
Exactly. Prevention, sustained well-being. And that really sets the stage for what our research points to as this, well, surprisingly effective, but really simple approach to keeping the prostate resilient.
Simple but effective. I like the sound of that.
And the focus on natural, empowering methods you can actually do yourself, that's what makes these findings really stand out. It's shifting from just reacting to problems to actually managing health proactively. It can make a real difference day to day.
Okay, let's get into it then. This prostate transformation, as our sources call it. I have to say, when I first started reading about this specific link, regular self-stimulation and prostate health, it did strike me as, well, unexpected.
Yeah, it's not dinner table conversation, is it?
Yeah, definitely not. But then you look at the science, and apparently studies going back quite a while have consistently shown these positive effects. So what's actually happening? What's the science behind it?
It's actually pretty fascinating how different things work together here. Let's start with maybe the most foundational benefit. Basically, better blood circulation in the whole pelvic area.
Okay.
When someone engages in self-stimulation, the body naturally increases blood flow quite significantly to the genitals and, really importantly, to the prostate gland itself.
So it's like a rush of blood to that area.
It's a definite vascular response, yeah. Not just a tiny trickle, but a noticeable increase. It brings more blood to tissues that might otherwise, especially with age, not get quite as much flow.
So you're essentially delivering more goodies, like oxygen and nutrients, directly to the prostate. Is that the idea?
That's exactly it. Think of it like improving the delivery service. This enhanced blood flow means the prostate and all the surrounding tissues get a richer supply of oxygen and all sorts of vital nutrients.
And what does that do for the tissue itself?
Well, it directly supports the tissue's own ability to repair and regenerate. It helps keep the cells healthy and functioning well. And some studies, using pretty advanced imaging, have actually shown this leads to better metabolic function within the prostate cells.
Metabolic function, meaning they work better, burn energy better.
Exactly. They can convert nutrients to energy more efficiently, do their jobs better, and just as importantly, this improved circulation helps clear out metabolic waste products more effectively.
Ah, okay. Getting rid of the junk. That sounds like it would be especially good for older guys, right?
Yeah.
Because circulation tends to slow down a bit with age.
You hit the nail on the head. It's particularly beneficial for seniors. As we age, that microcirculation, the tiny blood vessels, can become less efficient.
And what kind of waste are we talking about? What builds up?
Things like inflammatory markers, little signaling molecules called cytokines that can promote inflammation if they hang around, or just general cellular debris. If that stuff stagnates, it can create this low-level inflammation in the prostate, making it more prone to chronic problems.
So the increased blood flow acts like a flushing mechanism.
In a way, yes. Like an enhanced internal cleaning crew. It efficiently carries away these unwanted substances. So by ensuring that good, strong blood supply, you're essentially giving your prostate a regular tune-up.
Keeping it nourished and clean.
Exactly. Keeping it well-fed with oxygen and nutrients ready to function optimally. Now look, we need to be clear. Regular self-care isn't some magic bullet that prevents all prostate issues.
Wow, no silver bullet.
But its effect on circulation is genuinely significant. It plays a crucial role in maintaining healthy tissue, encouraging faster regeneration, and ultimately leading to a more resilient, better functioning prostate throughout life.
That makes a lot of sense. Circulation is key. So that's benefit number one. What's the second major advantage the research highlights?
The second big one, and this tackles a really common issue, is a noticeable reduction in inflammation, specifically prostatitis.
Okay, prostate inflammation. You hear about that quite a bit.
It's incredibly prevalent, especially as men get older. What often happens is the fluids the prostate naturally produces, they can sort of pool and become stagnant if they aren't cleared out regularly.
Another backup.
Kind of, yeah. And this stagnation creates an environment where inflammation can easily take hold. That leads to all sorts of symptoms, discomfort, pain, that annoying frequent urination feeling. It can really impact daily life.
And this is where the self-care part comes in again, I assume. Seems logical.
It's very direct, actually. Ejaculation is the body's natural way of flushing out these prostatic secretions.
Ah, okay. The flushing out effect.
Precisely. So doing this regularly dramatically cuts down the chances of that fluid stagnating and building up, which, as we just said, is a major trigger for inflammation. It simply promotes a more balanced, less congested prostate environment.
So it's basically like keeping the internal plumbing clear to prevent problems downstream. Does clearing that out have any knock-on effects for surrounding areas?
It does, actually. When the prostate isn't congested, there's less pressure on the surrounding pelvic floor muscles, which are also crucial for urinary and sexual function, so they benefit too. Plus, research consistently shows that regular ejaculation can significantly lower the risk of developing chronic inflammatory conditions in the prostate.
Which is really important for older guys who are more prone to that chronic stuff.
Critically important. So by actively keeping that inflammation down, you're helping your prostate work more efficiently and reducing the chances of that discomfort and those urinary issues that often come with aging. It's a simple, proactive, natural step.
You know, thinking about this flushing out effect, it makes me think of a story we came across. Let's call him Mr. Johnson, a relatable scenario.
Okay.
He was in his late 60s, retired engineer type, very meticulous. For years, he'd been dealing with that kind of low-level, nagging prostate discomfort. Nothing terrible, but persistent.
The kind that just wears you down.
Exactly. His main complaint was sleep disruption. He was getting up maybe 5-6 times a night sometimes to use the bathroom. Shattered his sleep.
Oh, that's rough.
Yeah. And during the day, he had this dull ache, a feeling of fullness, made sitting uncomfortable. He talked about just feeling weary, like his body wasn't quite keeping up, and maybe just accepted this was part of getting older.
A common feeling, unfortunately.
So he learned about these ideas, specifically the benefit of regularly fleshing out the prostate through self-care. He decided to try it consistently, not expecting miracles, but just making it a regular habit, like brushing his teeth.
Okay, a disciplined approach.
Right. And over several months, he said the change was gradual, but really significant. Those nighttime trips dropped dramatically, maybe once or twice, sometimes not at all.
Wow, that's a huge difference for quality of life.
Huge. The daytime discomfort eased up too. He felt, his words, a newfound ease, less disrupted, less worried about where the nearest bathroom was, and importantly, he felt like he had some control back over his health. He really credited that consistent flushing out for the improvement, that better internal balance. It genuinely boosted his quality of life, let him enjoy things again without that constant background worry.
That's a fantastic illustration. It really shows how addressing these underlying mechanics with the simple, consistent practice can lead to such real-world improvements in how someone feels day to day. It takes it from theory to lived reality.
Absolutely. So we've got circulation, reduced inflammation. What's the third benefit? You mentioned hormones and endorphins.
Yes, hormonal balance and the release of endorphins. Hormones are, the body's chemical messengers, and they have a huge influence on the prostate. When you engage in self-care like masturbation, it triggers a release of various hormones and neurotransmitters. The really well-known ones are endorphins.
The feel-good chemicals.
Exactly. They boost your mood, create a sense of well-being, but crucially, they also act as natural painkillers, analgesics. This leads to this overall feeling of relaxation throughout the body.
Okay, so it feels good, reduces stress. That's obviously beneficial overall. But how does that specifically help the prostate?
Great question. It's not just about feeling good emotionally, though that helps reduce overall stress, which is good for everything. But the act also stimulates other hormones, like oxytocin.
The bonding hormone.
That's the one. It helps reduce anxiety, it promotes calm. And there's also interplay with sex hormones, like testosterone. It's complex, but the net effect of all this neuroendocrine activity seems to promote a more balanced hormonal environment overall.
And that balance is good for the prostate.
Yes, because that hormonal equilibrium, that state of lower stress, directly supports the prostate. It helps regulate those inflammatory pathways we talked about, improves how cells communicate and function within the gland. When your body's overall stress level is lower and hormones are in better balance, every system, including the prostate, just works better. It's better equipped to handle challenges.
So it's kind of a whole system benefit that creates a healthier internal environment for the prostate to thrive in. Less stress, better function.
That's a great way to put it. And we see this in broader research, too. Maintaining hormonal balance and lower stress levels correlates with better mental clarity, stronger immune function, better physical health overall. It's systemic.
So the prostate benefits because the whole body is functioning more harmoniously.
Precisely. With that kind of internal harmony, the prostate is just better set up to function at its best. It's less likely to be negatively impacted by stress-induced inflammation or hormonal swings that can worsen age-related issues. It's a powerful protective effect.
Fascinating how interconnected it all is. Okay, circulation, inflammation, hormones. What's the fourth key benefit from the research?
The fourth one is the prevention of something called prostate congestion.
Congestion, like traffic.
Sort of, yeah. It's another really common issue, especially as men age, but it can happen earlier, too. The prostate gland naturally makes fluids, right? They're a key part of semen.
Right.
But if these fluids aren't released regularly, they can actually build up inside the tiny ducts within the gland. This accumulation, this congestion, can cause discomfort, pressure, a feeling of fullness, and importantly, it's thought to be a contributing factor, or can certainly worsen, conditions like BPH, the prostate enlargement.
Because the trapped fluid puts pressure on things.
Exactly. It can press on the urethra, the tube running through the prostate, and on the bladder itself. That contributes to those symptoms like frequency, urgency, weak stream, feeling like you haven't finished.
And I guess regular self-care provides the release valve, the natural ally, as you put it earlier.
That's the perfect way to think about it. Regular self-stimulation ensures these prostatic secretions get expelled consistently. It prevents them from stagnating and building up inside.
Keeping everything clear and flowing.
Exactly. It maintains an unobstructed prostate, letting it function more efficiently. You could genuinely think of it as a regular cleaning routine for your prostate, helping prevent blockages, keeping things running smoothly inside that complex gland.
So it's like preventative maintenance, basically.
Yeah.
Stopping blockages before they even start to form.
That's precisely it. And the long-term benefit of preventing that chronic congestion is really significant. By regularly clearing out those fluids, you're likely reducing the risk of the prostate becoming enlarged over time.
Because the congestion itself might trigger growth or inflammation.
That's the thinking, yes. Sustained congestion could contribute to cellular changes and inflammation that make the prostate more prone to enlarging and causing symptoms. So this natural flushing process plays this really vital, maybe underestimated role in long-term prostate health and just overall well-being for men. It helps maintain the prostate's internal structure and function for the long haul.
You know, this idea of preventing congestion and boosting overall vitality reminds me of another example, Mr. Lee.
Okay.
He was a bit older, early 70s. Generally healthy guy, still active, but he described feeling this subtle, kind of generalized lack of energy, of vitality.
Not specific symptoms, just less oomph.
Exactly.
Yeah.
He didn't have acute prostate issues, but he had this quiet anxiety about getting older, worrying about potential problems down the line, including with his prostate. He felt like his body was maybe getting a bit clogged up, was the phrase he used, a sort of vague unease.
I understand that feeling.
So, like Mr. Johnson, he learned about these self-care insights, particularly the idea of keeping things flowing and preventing congestion. He decided to make regular self-stimulation part of his daily wellness routine.
Okay.
And what he reported back was really interesting. It wasn't about fixing a specific prostate pain, because he didn't really have one, but he noticed a definite boost in his overall energy levels. His mood seemed brighter. He felt mentally clearer.
Wow, broader effects?
Yeah. He described feeling like his body was running more smoothly, less burdened or clogged. And that gave him huge peace of mind about his prostate specifically, but also just a more positive outlook on aging overall. It became a real cornerstone for him, showing those holistic benefits beyond just the gland itself.
That's another powerful story. It really highlights how these benefits aren't just isolated to the prostate. They can ripple outwards, affecting overall energy, mood, peace of mind. It connects the dots beautifully.
It really does.
So let's try and pull all these threads together now into what we're calling this comprehensive prostate health transformation. It's really important to grasp that these 4 benefits we've talked about, the better blood flow, the reduced inflammation, the hormonal balance, and preventing congestion, they don't just happen in isolation.
They work together.
Exactly. They work synergistically. They amplify each other. Better blood flow helps reduce inflammation and clear congestion. Balanced hormones reduce stress, which also helps inflammation. It's all interconnected, creating this combined effect that's much more powerful than any single benefit on its own. The whole is truly greater than the sum of its parts here.
Okay, that makes sense. But we absolutely need to stress this isn't being presented as some kind of cure-all, right?
Absolutely not. We need to be crystal clear on that. If you have a diagnosed prostate condition like BPH or prostatitis or certainly cancer, you absolutely need professional medical advice and treatment. This is not a substitute for that.
Right. This is a component.
It's a valuable component, exactly. When you integrate regular self-care thoughtfully, consistently, as part of a bigger picture of healthy aging, good diet, exercise, stress management, then it really emerges as a valuable and, importantly, accessible tool for helping maintain optimal prostate function and building resilience against those common age-related problems.
So it helps keep the prostate in better shape to handle the challenges of aging.
That's the core idea. It helps keep the prostate in more of a state of renewal. Its internal systems, the vascular, the cellular, are more robust. This allows it to adapt better to the physiological changes and stresses that just naturally come with getting older.
It's not just about managing symptoms as they pop up.
No, it's more fundamental. It's about strengthening the gland itself. You could almost think of it like giving your prostate a kind of comprehensive upgrade, making it more resilient against potential long-term issues. It's building a stronger foundation for health, not just patching cracks.
Okay, that's a powerful way to frame it. Now, we definitely need to include a word of caution here, because while we focus on the benefits, we need a balanced view.
Extremely important, yes.
While self-stimulation is obviously natural and generally very safe, like almost anything related to health, moderation is absolutely key, isn't it?
Couldn't agree more. Moderation is crucial. You can overdo it. Engaging excessively, pushing beyond what feels comfortable or natural for your body can lead to some potential side effects.
Like what sort of things?
Usually temporary and minor things. Maybe some localized irritation, chafing, perhaps some fatigue. For some people, if it becomes excessive, it could potentially become a distraction from daily life or responsibilities. It's about finding a healthy balance.
And psychologically too, right? Keeping it mindful.
Yes, ensuring it's part of a balanced lifestyle and not becoming compulsive or causing distress.
But these side effects, the physical ones like irritation, they usually clear up pretty quickly with just a little adjustment.
Overwhelmingly, yes. They tend to be mild and resolve fast if you just take a short break or adjust the frequency or intensity back to a comfortable level. The most important thing is to listen to your body.
Pay attention to the signals.
Exactly. However, and this is the critical caveat, if you experience discomfort that doesn't go away easily, that persists despite adjusting things, or if you feel this habit, or any habit really, is negatively impacting your mental health, your relationships, or just your ability to function day to day,
then you need to talk to someone.
Absolutely. See a healthcare professional, get personalized advice. They can rule out any underlying medical issues and help you find that truly healthy, balanced approach for you.
So the big takeaway message is the same as for most things in health.
Yeah.
Balance is everything. A thoughtful, moderate approach is key for your overall well-being, and that definitely includes your prostate health.
Well said. Informed, mindful self-care, not extremes.
Okay, so as we wrap up this deep dive on prostate health, it really seems clear that regular self-care through self-stimulation offers this range of pretty compelling science-backed benefits.
Yeah.
We've gone through how it can boost blood flow, help knock down inflammation like prostatitis, contribute to that better hormonal balance, and prevent that internal congestion that can cause trouble down the line.
Absolutely. And I think if there's one core message to take away today, it's this. Really taking good care of your prostate doesn't always require complicated treatments or expensive pills.
Right.
Sometimes the answers are genuinely, simpler than you might think. And crucially, they're often things you have the power to do yourself every single day. It's about using your body's own natural processes intelligently.
So we definitely encourage everyone listening to stay informed, stay curious about how your own body works, and keep looking for these simple habits that, as we've discussed, can make a really big difference to your long-term health. These aren't just random ideas. They're based on real physiological responses. And for many people, incorporating this could be a genuine game changer for staying healthy and vital as they age.
And perhaps that leads us to one final thought to leave you with. Something to ponder that builds on this whole discussion.
Okay.
It makes you wonder, doesn't it? What other surprising, natural, readily available habits might we be overlooking in other areas of health? Things that could really benefit us, but maybe we dismiss them because they challenge how we usually think about health, or maybe they're just considered too private or too simple to talk about openly.
That's a really interesting question to chew on. What else is hiding in plain sight?
Exactly. Something to think about as you continue on your own health journey.